Well, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Bible Talk, the place where we connect the Bible and everyday life. My guest today is fascinating. His name is Jon Here. He was calling in from Sydney, Australia, and he creates free apps all centered around the Bible. You may have seen on my YouTube channel here a tutorial I did on Paper.Bible where you can print your free Bible. I'll put the link down below to that tutorial. It's amazing. So I reached out to Jon. He agreed to sit down with me, and he's got, as of the time of this recording, he's got 3 other apps. And it was just a fascinating conversation. He's brilliant and just has a passion for getting the word out to as many people as possible. So enjoy my conversation with Jon Here. Well, Jon Here, thank you so much for coming on Bible Talk. It's great to have you, man, and meet you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really great to be here.
Yeah. So I ran across something that I think my assistant actually sent me a link to one of your apps that you created, and I was blown away. So I created a tutorial, but before we dive into all that you've created, because now I'm finding about all these other things that you do, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're at and what you do and a little bit of your background. Just share whatever you want.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'm from Sydney, Australia. Grew up here and still live here. I came to know Jesus in my youth. I had a really great church with a great youth ministry that discipled me well. So I've loved Jesus since I was a teenager. And yeah, when I was older, after I'd graduated from high school, I was at university, and I wanted to serve the Lord some way. So I was studying IT, and I figured maybe I would get a job in IT, but use my free time to help at youth group or something like that. It was actually during that time that I went on holiday to Southeast Asia. And while I was there, I was just really convicted by the lack of the gospel there. There were just so many millions of people that had basically either never heard of Jesus or knew barely anything about him. Mm-hmm. And ever since that trip, it was just a holiday, but ever since that trip, it gave me a real passion for doing mission and for making scripture accessible in every language and making it as easy to understand as possible for everyone in the world. And so, yeah, since that trip, it really got me thinking, how can I use my IT skills, not just for, local English ministry, but for mission, for reaching everyone with the gospel. And that eventually led me to serve in Southeast Asia for a few years, doing a term of mission there. And I would go and try to evangelize. I'd try to reach out to people. But I found that if I give them the whole Bible, often they'd be quite intimidated. They'd be a bit confused. They'd be like, "Whoa, what is this? Like, how do I read this?" It's kind of like if someone gave you the whole Quran and you're like, "All right, here you go, understand Islam." It's like, where do I start? What do I read? Like, I don't know where to go with this. And so when someone comes from a background where they just don't know anything about God or Jesus or anything, it's good to just start them with small portions, like a story about Jesus teaching or healing someone or something like that, portions of scripture. And so I thought, I could actually I have an IT background. Maybe I could make an app that would kind of have different stories from the Bible, just really easy way to introduce someone to scripture before bringing them to, obviously giving them a whole Bible later on. And so that's when I began experimenting, creating prototypes for myself. And yeah, eventually I was like, wow, these would be useful for other people too, not just me. So eventually that led me to start Gracious Tech for creating apps like these.
Yeah, that's great. And so I've, Gracious Tech is your company. People have it there on the screen. It's just simply gracious.tech. And you've, before we kind of show people the different apps and just give them an overview, and then they can check them out in more depth. The one that kind of led me to you, if you will, that was shared with me is Paper.Bible. And so I just a little bit ago created a YouTube video for my channel that just walks people through how to use it. And I'll let you give the overview so that I don't go into my whole 20-minute tutorial. But
Yeah.
that, that video of your tool, me showing people how to use your tool, has, as of now, become the second most watched video on my whole channel. And it's now 2 weeks old. And the number one video, which I think it's probably going to surpass if it keeps doing this in the next month, is one that was 5 years, has been on there for 5 years. So I think people are really, really resonating with what it is that you with what it is that you created. So I know I did, and have already used it to print out to print out the book of Philippians. We've just been doing the Philippians study. And so this was created with Paper.Bible. But and so it's just been so cool to see something that just shows people how to get the Bible printed in their hands. Is like, I want that. I want that. This would be perfect. I mean, I know that you've engaged even in some of the comments that have been on there, and people that are just going, this will be perfect for my Bible study. This will be perfect for, I just love seeing the creativity of how people now come up with different ideas to use it. That's got to be really rewarding for you too.
Yeah, it's really, really exciting to see people start using it. It was actually, so you might see at the top of the app, it says it's in beta. So there were several issues with it, several bugs that I was like, I really need to get around to fixing those and improving it. But yeah, then when your video took off, I was like, oh man, I have to start fixing these right away because so many people are using it.
Sorry
So
to give you more work.
you gave me a bit of a push there to get working on it, which was great. I was always planning on improving it and finally getting to a 1.0, as we say in the app development world. But yeah, really exciting to see people start using it. And I was really excited to see people use it for the purpose I created it. So far, it's mostly been shared in the Bible translation world for people who are working on translations and drafting them, and or for missionaries who want to print out portions of scripture in their country. And it's really hard to, there's no Christian bookstore in most countries. Like they have to, very hard to get a Bible. So to be able to print it at home is really useful.
Right.
But what I was really excited about was the ability to combine different translations and different languages. And so it's quite common in a Western Christian bookstore to be able to find one or two Bibles that are kind of half English or half Chinese or something like that. But very, very few options, right? So if you go to a Christian bookstore, you might have a few languages that have a bilingual Bible, but very, very few. Whereas now, because everything's automated, you can literally, I guess there'd be millions of combinations you could have, because there's over 1,000 translations in there, and you can combine two of them. So you don't need English anymore. You can have French and Chinese if you're a French missionary reaching out to Chinese, for example. So the options are unlimited, and it's nice to be able to see people actually start using it that way.
Yeah, and for people that want to go check it out, I mean, you can certainly go look at the tutorial. I'll link to it down below this video in the description so that you can kind of really do a deep dive on how to use it. But it's really amazing to be able to come in and just be able to go into a new creation and say, oh, I don't need Titus. I want to look at, we're studying the book of Genesis in my Bible study. And so here is the book that we want to do. And then we go, and once we've done that, then we've got Genesis in there, and I want to put the copyright at the end or whatever, and just and being able to create title pages and all this. Again, I'm not going to do a whole tutorial right now, but the ability to put study things in there. And you were talking about kind of what translation. I know that the Berean Standard Bible is kind of my go-to, and that's, as you know, in April of 2023 was put into the public domain, which is just such an unbelievable gift to be able to have a contemporary, modern, high quality translation that is now available in the public domain, and which means people can use it and print a whole book, print a whole book of the Bible or 4 books of the Bible or whatever, and not be running into any of those copyright issues. And so it really is amazing. And then, but to be able, when you say there are a lot of translations, you're not kidding. Because if I say, oh, I want to add another translation, then these are just the English ones, and then you've got all of these different languages. That's like, oh yeah, well, there's a Spanish congregation in my church. I'm like trying to even see where this is in my.
Maybe up the top because it's one of the most commonly spoken
Oh, there it
languages.
is. So,
Yeah.
so it's got 5 different types of Spanish translations, but people, people have asked in the comments and about, well, why isn't my favorite translation in there? And so what kind of without you and I getting super philosophical onto this, what kind of all of your apps are free, and all of the translations that are in this are free to use and print. So how did that work? What led you to create free apps? And then how can people understand what translations you chose and which ones you didn't, and languages and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I guess it really came out of me trying to do mission work, trying to reach out to people with the gospel. And so that's kind of how I came into this world of creating apps. And for the whole purpose was to make it as easy as possible. And so it just never occurred. Like I never even thought about putting a paywall or something. Like when you're trying to do mission, you just want people to have easy access possible. You don't want to take them for a sign up and register page and stuff like that. You just want to put them straight in. They can read it. They don't have to do anything. And so that's why from the very start, when I started my company, everything was going to be free. And that was just a rule that was going to be, I wasn't going to contemplate, is this, if things don't go so well, maybe I'll start charging or something. It was just, no matter what happens, it's all going to be free until I die or until I go bust. But yeah, so what I did was I made everything very cost effective. And so my other app is for sending newsletters, and hundreds of thousands of people read newsletters on it. It costs me about $10 or $20 a month. So to serve hundreds of thousands of people. So it is very possible to do this stuff cost effective. But, then when I started making these apps, the number one barrier beyond any technical limitations, most people would be thinking there'd be technical issues or something like that. No, the number one issue is copyright. And so I would love to put every translation in there. And I have approached all the major publishers of the ESV, NIV, all of the big ones you can think of. I've asked them all. And unfortunately, they all said no. Except for one who they asked me to pay a fee, but since all the others said no, I was like, no, I'm just going to add them all.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's just a different mentality. Like I'm sure everyone has good motives, good intentions, but in my opinion, it's getting in the way of people accessing and using Scripture in ways that would be helpful in ministry.
Yeah. So I do want to show people. I mean, because Paper.Bible is the one that kind of connected you and me, the one that I've been talking about, the one that I've been sharing with everyone. But there are also some other ones that you have, and so excuse me. And so I just want to share those and just have you give a quick overview. And who knows, maybe I'll create a tutorial on each one of them. I don't know, but I love what you've done. So you currently have 4, right?
Yeah, okay. About 4 major apps. Yeah.
Okay, and so Track.Bible is the next one, and I'm just going to see if I blow up the screen a little bit so that people can see it. But it sounds pretty self-explanatory. So tell who would this be for? What does this do?
Yeah, so basically this was like a little prototype app to get me started. This was the first proper app I made, and it's just simply to keep track of how much of the Bible you've read. So when I was in youth group, I had the goal of completing the Bible. And what I did was I printed out a page with the number for every single chapter in the Bible. So it had all the names of the the books, and it had all the numbers for every chapter, and I would cross off each chapter after I'd
Mhm.
read it, so then I could track that I'd completed the whole Bible. And so when I started making apps, I was like, oh, I could totally make an app that does this. So yeah, so if you go into it, you can click continue, and then you can just skip this part. It's just for setting up. If you've already read some of the Bible, you'd click what books you've already read.
Right.
You can just click done for now. And then if you choose a book there, that button in the middle, choose a book, you can click on a book, and then every time you click on a chapter, it just ticks it off. So if you've got your own printed Bible in front of you, you can
Yeah.
just be reading it and then go into the app and tick it off that you've read it. Um, but a nice thing with this app that many don't have is if you go on the right there, there's a bit of an icon for text. And if you click on that, you can actually read the Bible in the app and also tick it off. So you can be reading it on your phone or on your computer,
And
and
then
then
you
tick off the
just tick
chapters.
it off.
Yep, just tick off that chapter, and you scroll to the next one, and then you'll be able to tick that off.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and I'll get to this in the next thing that I've made, but it has every translation that you have in Paper.Bible, you also have in this app. So it's got over 800 languages.
Nice.
Again, it doesn't have the major English
so this,
yeah.
if I'm seeing this right, so the way that I'm seeing this on my screen, you can be reading it and just, you don't have to kind of click to the next chapter. You're kind of reading it. You see the little icon there that you go to the next chapter, but
Yep.
as soon as you get to see that logo, you can just click it off right there. Oh, I'm done in 3, and so I just keep going to 4, and now that goes from red to white again. Nice.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, and I should probably at this stage give a little warning that most of my apps are still in beta, so there's still some issues. It won't save your progress just yet. So if you lose your phone, you've lost your history, unfortunately. But yeah, this is maybe a window into the future of apps. Eventually, when I get them polished, then yeah, this is the kind of stuff you'll be able to do. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, and so then the next one. So
Hmm.
you've got a couple more. I mean, I think that as we were talking about it, that, the Paper.Bible and Track.Bible are the two kind of most that your average Bible reader would use those.
That's right. That's right.
So
And just to mention,
but give us an overview of what Fetch.Bible and what and then what Stello is. So what's
sure. Yep.
Fetch.Bible? Who would this be for? And what is
So
it?
I'll also just briefly mention that all of my apps aren't in the app store. So I call them apps, but they're what we call web apps. And so you can actually add them to your phone. You can kind of save it to home screen. It will work like an app, but just don't go searching in the app store because you won't find them not until they're published. But while they're in beta, you just go to the website to find them. So Paper.Bible, Track.Bible, Fetch.Bible, they're all websites. So yeah, with this platform, this is like the engine of all the apps, and so this powers Paper.Bible. It powers Track.Bible, and in the future, it's already powering some other people's apps too. So what in the past, when people would make a Bible app, if you go scrolling through the app store and you look at all the Bible apps, almost everyone has just done the same thing over and over and over, and so they've made a Bible app and they've like copied and pasted and formatted the scripture how they need it, and usually they do translation by translation, so they add one translation and they start the app and there's only one translation in there. And so quite a lot of Bible apps, there'll only be one translation, or if you're lucky there might be a few. There might be 5 translations to choose from. But in my opinion, it's like, why not just have them all? Why not every single app? So every single useful Bible app, whether it's like studying the Bible, whether it's looking at the original languages, whether it's tracking your progress, whether it's there's so many different Bible apps. Why not just every single one have every translation in the world? Because there's no technical reason why you can't. And I'll say it briefly, but it's because of copyright. And so if it wasn't for copyright, then every Bible app would have every translation and every language. And so what I'm doing with that platform is I have to give credit to another guy called Michael Johnson. He's spent, I think his website's eBible.org. But he spent the last few decades of his life collecting all these translations. And so I've just come along and I've looked at them and like, wow, that's fantastic. I've taken all the translations he spent his life collecting and I just automated everything. I just automated it into a platform. And so now, if you are a novice, like even a university student, if you're a novice app developer or IT person, you can use that platform, Fetch.Bible, and you can create a simple Bible app in, I'd say, half an hour. So I've actually got an example there on the website that
Mm-hmm.
just a very novice person who knows how to write just a single web page, you can create a Bible app within half an hour. So if you go to overview, the overview button, just on the left. Oh yeah, just on the bottom, left. Yeah,
Okay. Perfect.
yeah. And if you
You
click
mean the
on,
big bright purple one that was staring me in the
yeah,
face? Is
that's
that the
right,
one
that's
you
the
were
one.
trying to get me to click?
Yeah. So I'll show you this
Okay.
very briefly for anyone that does have an IT background, but novice people might find it interesting too. If you go to the client, actually, let's go to the web app on the left, on the navigation on the left there, you'll see accessing content heading, and then there's a web app there. Yeah. So this is a little, you can see popped up there a little Bible app in the window.
Yeah.
And so you can add this to any other app. So if you have any kind of your church's app or your ministry's app, you can literally just put one line of code and it dumps this whole Bible app into your app. So you can um, have the full power and thousands of translations just with, very little effort. And so anyone's free to use that. It's completely free, unlimited use. Often the other alternatives I found when I was doing this was, they'd say you can use it up to this many requests, and they'll be like, well,
Mm-hmm.
what if it really takes? What if you make a video and then suddenly 22,000 people are viewing it, and then it's costing me thousands of dollars a month? How am I gonna survive, right?
Right.
Whereas this is completely unlimited use. Developers don't need to worry about running into limits.
That's amazing.
Um, yeah, and so I won't go into it, but if anyone who has an IT background can look at that website, and there's a simple example how to create something similar within half an hour. You could do it.
Well,
Yeah,
great. Well, I might have to show me how to do that. So and put it in my app that just came out. So
yeah,
I'd love
absolutely.
to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then and tell me about Stello. This is the last one. This might be
Yeah.
good. Churches may be very interested in this for their missionaries.
Yeah. And so, as a missionary, I really wanted a way to communicate with my supporters, and to be able to like people love photos. Often, I'm often short on time, and when I get lots and lots of newsletters from different missionaries, and I love just like scrolling through their photos, just seeing what their life is like, seeing the kind of ministry they're
Mm-hmm.
doing. But with an email, you'd have maybe one photo or maybe two or three if you're lucky. Whereas this is a new type of newsletter where it opens up in a web page and you can put as much content in there as you want. So if you get an email like this, it'll appear in your inbox and you just click open message. This is someone who sent you using this software. And then you can actually design it with pages. You can comment and react like kind of like social media, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all private. Yeah, if you click the photos, videos, but this is just an example newsletter. If you look at that photo at the top there, you can actually scroll that to the side and click on the side. You get lots of different photos in there.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, just like that. Yeah. So you
that's
can
great.
have as many photos as you want. Yeah, you can have videos. You can have all this dynamic content that you can't get in an email.
Well,
I
that's
actually designed it for security, so it encrypts everything. But later on,
mm-hmm.
I found that people were just more interested in the the photos and the videos and stuff you can add to it. Yeah.
Now that's great because I just think of the people who are missionaries in different places that if they can be uploading it to their servers and whatever, to the site itself, and to be
Mhm.
able to just send a simple email that then has this rich experience from different people around the world. The connection point of really feeling connected to your ministry and what you're doing, and to be able to do that without paying hundreds of dollars, if not thousands,
Mm.
for the ability to email. You could, with a situation like that, the fact that you've made a newsletter software free is kind of unheard of. So
Mm. Yeah, and
I'm amazed.
it's the most private solution as well. So if you start using that, I I literally can't get any of your data, any of your photos. I can't, even if I wanted to, I can't see it. It's all encrypted. So it's completely
Mm.
private as well.
Wow. Well, I mean, this has been awesome. So, but I mean, before we wrap this up, I mean, let's say that there's somebody who just has seen these apps and loves what you do and wants to support, because obviously you're giving away these for free, but it's not free to create them. It's got your time. It's got you've got servers, you've got fees that you're paying. How could somebody who believes in what you're doing in gracious tech, how can somebody support your ministry? I want to make sure that anybody that watches this knows how they can help you continue to offer this for free and continue to create resources like this.
Thank you. Yeah, and so I just operate, because I came from the mission world. I just continue to operate like a missionary, and so I simply do everything, all my ministries for free, and I have a bunch of people supporting me. So yeah, I guess a shout out to the many people who have been supporting me for many years now, and that's why you can use these apps for free, because of those people. But yeah, I'd love to. I only work on this part time. I'd love to be able to do it full time. So if you're interested in supporting, you can just go to my website, gracious.tech, and there's a donate button there.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, Jon, this has been fantastic. I can already see I want to create once I really learn how to build some of those things with Fetch.Bible. I think there are some specific videos that I could create of, hey, here's how you could embed this into your church website. Here's how you could do this into this. I just think giving people access to the Bible from places they already are. They're already on their church's website. They're already on their church's app. They're already here. I mean, let's get the word in as many hands as possible.
Yeah,
so
fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you, Jon. I appreciate getting to know you a little bit, having you share your ministry with us. I look forward to connecting again in the future. And I think the next time, since I'm in Seattle, where it rains a little bit more than it does in Sydney, I think that the next time we do an interview, it's going to have to be a live in-person interview at your house.
Sounds good to me. If you can fly all the way here, then go for it. Love to have you over. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Jon. And everybody else, we will see you on the next episode of Bible Talk. See you later. Bye.